Hello, hello. I'm just going to make sure we're live here, and then away we go. Sorry, it's a little bit of a task. Maybe I got to refresh it here. Okay, there we go. It looks like it's there, and sorry, it's a little shit here. We got a little audio too. Okay, we're going to get started. Sorry, my technical side is a little bit weird. I'm not sure what's going on here right now, but my backdrop is kind of twofold, and anyways, nobody's going to die. Holy cow, what's going on with these energies right now? So what I wanted to do is come into the group here and share some practices that people can use and share some of the reasons why we've been suppressed around our sacred sexuality. So I'm not talking, there's a lot of people that are triggered by even the word sex or sexuality or any of the acts going into it. It's for a very specific purpose. It's been shamed and guilted by religion, by grandmothers, by all these people that were scared of that energy, and it's programming that's coming into the collective to all of us. So what I'm here to do is to re-educate people in what our sexual energy is and how important it is as part of our being. There's a lot of shame and guilt and repression and all these kind of things. You can't talk openly about it. People will curse you or smash you or try and harm you for being open and talking about your sexual energy or your sexual self. It's like some kind of weird game that's been going on, but it's done for a very specific reason. So you are inhabiting a human body. A human body is created through an act of sexuality. So it's the basic, most important part of our creation energy. So to repress our creation energy and tell us we're bad or we can't do it or it's something ugly or you're going to get an STD or whatever, it basically puts us in fear of contacting that energy, and it shuts a part of our body off. So our sexuality is, as part of a human body, is part of the regulation mechanism. It's part of releasing bent up trauma, detritus, which is kind of like dirt that's stuck in your central channel. It basically stops our chakras from flowing properly and moving, and then it impacts our ability to work into reality. So basically, our sexual energy does some really massive things for us. It basically regulates our body. It also accesses our brain, which has a whole pharmacy in it. Our brain can create DMT, which is the spirit molecule that's part of ayahuasca. It can give us illusions. It can give us all this kind of stuff, but we can't access that if we don't have this really root piece of our sexuality, our creation energy, which is our personal sexuality. So we're ashamed. We break down relationships. We don't move our sexual energy, or we're told that touching ourselves is bad or it's illegal, or for like 1,000 years in part of the Catholic Church, you could be stoned to death for giving yourself pleasure. Like, there's a massive trauma in itself. So basically what I'm here to do is to talk to people, to bring back some of the stuff around what we call the Temple of Isis. So the Temple of Isis back in Jesus's time, most people don't even know all this kind of stuff, but Mary Magdalene, and who was Jesus, or she was the prostitute in the Bible or whatever, but she was also Jesus's wife. She was part of the Temple of Isis, and she went and trained Jesus in some of the arts and the mysteries that she knew around sacred sexuality, and allowed him to find the ability to ascend himself. Mother Mary, or the Virgin Mary, which most people don't talk about either, was also a very high member of the high priestesses of the Temple of Isis. They knew sacred mysteries like we cannot even describe now, and all those things have been repressed and taken away. Back at that time, the reason that they called Mary Magdalene a prostitute was because she was a priestess in the Temple of Isis, which meant she shared sexual energy and did sexual things with people that she welcomed into her life. The shame wasn't the same back then, and the repression wasn't the same. The Temple of Isis was a place like a hospital. You would go and they would move your energies. A soldier, for example, who had PTSD. Look at our soldiers now. They're coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, all these places, and they've got massive, massive traumas that are inside their system, and they're completely damaged. Well, back then you would go as a soldier, you would go sign up and go and spend 6 weeks in a Temple of Isis, and they would clear all that trauma from your body. They would work you through these processes of emotions and feeling them, and hold space for you. And over 6 weeks, you would be returned to completely healed. Those practices have been destroyed in this world because they've been judged for very specific reasons, and a whole story was placed on top of them. A high or a priestess was called a prostitute to try and shame her and darken that role. That's what we're working through. So there are women out there and men that are priests and priestesses that are relearning this stuff in their body, and this is stuff that I know and is part of me, and I want to bring this back to everyone so that you can have it. It is really powerful stuff. The base levels of what I want to teach, and you can see some videos about it. And if people want me to do new videos, how we go in and we find sensuality in our body. How do we get back so that we're completely in our body? Most of our shame and our trauma and other stuff has pushed us so our energy isn't even in our body. Can you imagine? How can a person have sex if, okay, so if my head is up here about a foot above where it should be, are my genitals even in my genitals? Can I feel pleasure down there? Is my sensory, my energy even attached there? No, we got to get you back in the body. We get grounded. We can teach your lover to ground your feet before you start, have massage, touch, sensuality, use different sensations, hard sensations, rubbing sensations, all these kind of things will ground us back into our body. So once we get back into our body, we have our sensuality back, which allows us to feel sensations in our body. And then we start to move the energy. Once we're fully embodying in our body, we can start to share an experience with ourselves of sensuality, of giving ourselves pleasure, using that orgasmicness that comes out of touching our own body, and teaching ourselves that we don't have to have another. We don't have to love outside ourselves to have these experiences. Once we get in control of this, then we can teach you how to move that energy in your body, how to set intentions with it beforehand. But if you're going in and you're shamed or you're not sure what's going on or whatever, we just kind of spray our creation energy into the universe. Oh no, I'm using this energy to heal my body. I'm using it to clear out all the density in my muscles, all these kind of things. We can set these intentions before we start, before we go into pleasure, and then we go through the whole process of pleasure and building, and we can talk about things like G spots and P spots for men and all this kind of stuff. This is all knowledge that's been taken from us, and it makes our orgasm into this little 5-second hiccup thing, or using the other person, no connection, no heart-centeredness, no feelings, etc. And sex becomes this hollow act of getting off in another body. It's kind of crazy. So teaching this stuff, once you can get to this orgasmicness and you can start to feel it in your body, guess what? All these beautiful oxytocin, serotonins, all these beautiful hormones start firing in your brain in exactly the levels that you need. And you get this big rush of energy that goes up your body. It also leaves you in a meditative state. I'm doing breath work at the same time as some of the stuff that we're talking about here. And this breath work puts us into a meditative state. When you get finished your orgasm and you're kind of drilling out the corner of your mouth and you're just feeling really pleasurable or whatever, there's nothing shameful about you allowing and giving yourself pleasure, or cooperating with another being to do the exact same thing. These are all things that we're growing past and we're starting to realize, and we're starting to use this energy to awaken ourselves. So think of things that are traumas in your body. You got tightness in your body. You got stuff that's just squeezed and you're not sure, and you're in this kind of like parasympathetic fight or flight kind of sensation. Well, what's the only thing that can release that? Is it orgasmic bliss or pleasure? You're just like, this feels so good or whatever. Well, we have that ability within our body. We have that ability to share that with a partner. We have that ability to rise above. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a ton of trauma and shame that's trapped in women's yonis and men's lingams, and asses and wombs and uterus and cervixes and on all these things down in the south part of their body that can be moved and can be changed by giving pleasure and starting to build practices that allow people to share pleasure together without being bonded for the rest of their life. And if that scares you or whatever, there's some trauma still in your body or whatever. Like, there's so many people in this world. You don't have to be married to be sexual with another person. People are going to the bars and getting hookups and one night stands and all this kind of stuff. And they may sound dirty or whatever, but they're satisfying their pleasure needs by going and starting to explore their sexuality with another that wants the same thing. What could be more sacred than that, than two people coming into an agreement and making a plan? It's not hookups and one night stands anymore. It's now a conscious agreements of, okay, I love to share and balance with you, and I'd love to be naked with you, and I'd love to massage you or feel skin to skin contact or cuddles or all these millions of different things that are going to make you feel good in your body, that are going to normalize you and stop you from being in this constant survival fight or flight mode. So this is the stuff I'm here to start teaching people and to get them back into methodologies that they can use to have their needs met. And it's not dating. And is dating really a place where you're going to want to explore your sexuality? Because here's the problem, is now all of a sudden you got this requirement that you're going to get married and you're going to lead to this and this and this, all these unstated things or whatever. Would you not want to be able to enter into an exploration of that by having ability to have boundaries and to have discussions and to set agreements and explore all that kind of stuff? It can lead to marriage at the end, but in my world, if I'm not sexually compatible with a person, I'm not interested in having a long-term relationship, because sexuality is a very important part of who I am and what I need and what my body needs and how I awaken and how I clear things. So we're getting to this stage where we're going to have to start making some choices instead of getting drunk at the bar and just meeting whoever and having a hookup and to have our needs met and then say guilty and ashamed and all this kind of stuff afterwards for a while. Would you not want to say, okay, I want a partner that wants this? Is this something that you want? Is this just giving you the basic tools to deal with your trauma? How do you deal with stuff that shows up during sexuality? And trust me, when you're in this state and your body's cleansing and all this kind of stuff from orgasm, at the same time, you probably had partners that maybe they were crying and they were in grief and they were screaming or yelling about an old partner or something like that. These are the traumas being released from their body. Would you far not prefer to have a trauma released through pleasure than through pain and suffering and having to breathe and force yourself and lean up against the wall? This is the mechanism that's going to just like kind of collapse all the armor and clear us and awaken us very quickly. This is a process not for the faint of heart, and you're going to learn some tools and other things. But once you've learned the tools, you're going to awaken very rapidly. Things are going to move through you very quickly. And it's not going to be from pain or suffering or whatever. It's very much like breath work. Breath work just hyperoxygenates the body. Well, when you're having sexuality with a person, you're getting breathing the body. It's starting to open the body so it can release traumas that are trapped, stuff that's in our shadow, all these kind of things. Something that I can teach you is there's no such thing as orgasm without breath and movement. This is really important stuff. The breathing helps to build the energy that creates the orgasmicness. The movement is what creates the friction and the pleasure and all this kind of stuff. And it's also at the same time clearing our body of all these traumas that are not serving us anymore. And all of us have traumas. If you lived on this earth for any period of time, you got something from your parents, you got beliefs, you got letdowns, you got frustrations, you got all this kind of stuff. Awakening through sexuality is a process where we start to get back in touch with these mechanisms that allow us to very quickly move through our body and feel good. And it's not about having somebody come and do something to you or whatever. It all starts with you and you choosing for yourself and getting back into your own pleasure. And then when you get to that point, you get to a plateau where you're comfortable with yourself and you know what your body wants and all this kind of stuff, then you can begin to explore with somebody else from a community or with a healing person or a priest or a priestess or whatever. These people are growing all over the place and they're going to help move you through some of these things. Can you imagine the levels of healing that can come from, like, so basically if we start looking at this as alchemy, basically the masculine and the feminine can hold each other in containers, and alchemy is a a process where basically you have a stone bowl and it's filled with gold, and you start a fire underneath it, and all the dross comes out of the gold and it gets purified. It's just like us. If we have enough sexual energy applied to our body, we can melt down and we can be cleared of all the shit that's no longer serving us, and scrape all that dross off the top, and you're purified to 99%. This is what sexual alchemy is. This is what sex magic is. This is all these things that are amazing. We are bringing them back for you. So keep coming back here, ask questions. This has lots of information in it. I'll do another one in the next few days on self-pleasure and how we set that up and how we work through it, and it'll give you a container that you can start to use your own sexual energy and start to grow from that, and start to awaken yourself. So this is really important information. It's going to have a feeling in your heart. If somehow it feels heavy, or you feel there's some agenda or whatever, just go into it and look and see what stories, what trauma, what the church has taught you, what your parents has taught, and what your friends have said about you or whatever. I think it's different between a man and a woman in the repression that happens. Men may be a little more open and clear about this or whatever, because I think we've got a feeling inside that this is key or whatever. But women have had things like slut shaming and friends that are poking at them that aren't having their own sexuality, so they're trying to shame everybody else, or grandmothers or aunts or whatever. So just go inside and just feel, why does this feel off? Does it feel good somewhere in your body? Like, okay, maybe it feels good low in lower chakras, and it's like, oh shit, I really want this or whatever, but my heart's all closed or whatever. Well, that's a symptom of the trauma that's going on. So start to lean into it and start to ask yourself questions, and then listen to this video again. Once you've opened some of the questions, you're going to see that what I'm talking about is truth. It's not me trying to date women or get them to be sexual or whatever. This is me talking about Temple of Isis processes. Look at me. I've been a priest in my past lives. I have, but I've also had no end of sexual shame and trauma and stuff like that from marriage and past dating and all that kind of stuff. And I've had to do work on that, and I've moved through it. And if there's anything that feels still gritty, I'm still working through my process, just like you are. So just feel it. It's something that we all need, and it's something that I'm here and not being ashamed about and ready to talk about, to give that gift back to everyone. So keep asking questions, watch the videos, and we'll get you through it the best we can. And very soon there's going to be way more powerful courses, plans, ways to deal all this kind of stuff. I just need to get $100 a month set up, and I'm going to set up this platform called School, where it's got a whole bunch of videos, and you can do it in your own time, and it's community based, and we'll just have a group of people that are going through these processes and sharing and opening, and it's going to be very cool. But I just have to get the income coming in for this to happen. So I love you. I thank you for listening, and watch for more coming up soon. I'm fully empowered now. I really want to talk about this stuff, and I'm going to do it every day, or well, hopefully every day. I can't promise that because I'm traveling here in the next little bit, but we'll do our best. I love you. Thank you. See you soon. Keep awakening.